From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MBW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome to this Monday morning edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio. Today, we'll look at lines as we do on every single Monday. We'll recap a little bit, some final thoughts on Ole Miss and Kent State, 38-17. Rebels over the Golden Flashes in a game that lasted about 9 hours on Saturday with about 3 hours of rain and lightning delays there at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. And Ole Miss and LSU, 8:15 p.m. Central Time Saturday from Baton Rouge. So all that and more on today's show. That's brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Bottomless refills. You go buy the Stadium Cup, and every time you go in after that, just 49 cents to fill that bad boy up with the fountain drink of your choice. Lunch specials, ribs, and much, much more. I saw the kid made the Crystal Kick on Saturday, so he got a lot of free Crystal. You can get the mini cheese bites, the Crystals, and more. They're next door to the Oxford Exxon at the Oxford Crystal. Again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900's the number. Call that number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what new Ford you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's that simple. It's right to the bottom line. There's no haggling. There's no hassle. You get your quote, and then the rest of it's kind of up to you. You can shop that quote around, or you can go ahead and let Corey and the people at Clark Ford do for you what they've done for so many other listeners of our podcast. That's take the hassle out of the everyday car buying experience. You get a great Ford vehicle, great service after the sale, delivery options, all that stuff. Corey wants to be your car guy, your truck guy. He'll take great care of you in order to achieve that goal. 662-257-1900. At the end of your deal, tell Corey that you heard about Clark Ford on the podcast. Mention any of our family of podcasts, and you'll get $500 off.
Did you have a pleasant Fayetteville experience?
I did. It rained a lot. It was cold.
Here too.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
It was a lot colder there than it was here. I'd thrown a sweatshirt in the back of my car and was glad I had it. Campbell bought a sweatshirt and pretty much wore it the entire time. So yeah, it was fun. We had a good time. She met a lot of people and all of that stuff.
Continues to solidify the decision.
Yeah, she's pretty close, I think. I mean, she's applied to some other places, and who knows what the final numbers will look like. And at some point, numbers will play a role. But yeah, she likes it a lot, and it's a good fit for her. It's funny how you can tell your kids kind of fit in a place or don't fit in a place. And she met a lot of really nice girls, and a lot of people have kind of, including people who listen to this podcast. One person in particular has really helped in sort of expediting that process, and that's been really neat. It makes you feel a little more comfortable, I guess, kind of going forward. There's a girl from Oxford that's a freshman there that she spent some time with her on Saturday night. And I went to a bar, and I think it's safe to say I was the only person at a bar in Fayetteville, Arkansas at 7 o'clock on Saturday night watching Cubs White Sox on his tablet.
You didn't ask for a television?
No, I wasn't going to do that. And watching.
Well, they have. How many they have?
They had tons,
well,
because people were watching football, and I had 2 tablets, I could do it. I watched Cubs White Sox on a tablet and Pirates Brewers on a phone. It was all good. I wasn't going to be the jackass that goes, "Hey, could you turn it to a baseball game?" Oh, no, come on. They had Auburn, Arkansas on most of the TVs, as you would expect. They had Louisiana Tech and LSU on one, and I was trying to kind of watch it some, but it was kind of off in the other direction.
All right.
And they had Kentucky and Mississippi State on one that I was able to see a little bit better. And then there was a guy that was a big Texas fan that was there that was watching the end of Texas TCU, and throughout the process he kept going, "We're back, we're back, we're back." And I was like, "Dude, come on."
No, you're not.
I mean, you're better.
Back to what?
Yeah,
Mediocrity? Okay,
back to
great.
Vince Young days? No, not yet. But anyway,
You don't want Bama. You're good.
It's always interesting for me to sit in an establishment like that where outside of the 2 games on my personal devices, I don't care. And it's just fun to watch people get worked up. And this guy next to me
Well, people have fun at sports books. You just go and sit and watch the chaos around you. That's all you're doing.
This guy next to me was trying to hit on this woman next to me. So I was sitting there.
Was it successful?
No, I would have had a significantly better chance, and that says something. And I think she was frustrated when I moved because I was sitting there by myself, and she came and sat to the left of me, and she was minding her own business, and I was minding my own business. There was no conversation. And I was on the phone with you, I think. And when I got off the phone, this guy comes up and he goes, "Do you mind moving over one so I can sit next to her?"
You assumed they were acquaintances.
I assumed they were acquaintances, a couple, whatever. I was like, no, that's good. And I moved over, and I moved my devices and stuff. She kind of looked at me and rolled her eyes. And I realized at that point, he doesn't know her. And he began to just harass her. And
so it's what amazes me because you see these social interactions all the time. The lack of self-awareness to know there is no chance in the world and to stop, to back off and to mind your own business. And that is completely absent with a select number of people where it is no, let me keep on because I might just wear them down over time, I guess.
That was his strategy, which...
If I can wait it out...
That play's never been in my playbook. I mean, we've never practiced that play in Neal McCready life. That play's just, we don't have that one in the playbook. It's nowhere near
You're like the
playbook.
Army OC, and you go, hey, we're never going to go, hey, let's 5 wide this thing out and start slinging it around.
I mean, you even hint at the word no to me one time, and I'm good. That's it. If I even think that there's a possibility that you might hint at the word no somewhere down the line, I'm good.
You basically got to have like a yellow brick road lined up right down the path right there.
Pretty much.
With no wicked witch anywhere in sight.
I mean, back in my single days, I had to know that the answer was going to be.
You knew the answer going in.
Yeah, or else I just wasn't going there.
So you're not giving this guy the credit for even asking because you become obnoxious with it. It's one thing to take a shot and then, okay, great, have a nice night.
Yeah, and I
move
get
on
the
with your
whole,
day.
you don't score if you don't shoot.
Yeah.
And I get that, but once you're like 0 for 13, it might be time to take a different shot. That shot on the floor might not be your best shot. And so, anyway, she was like rolling her eyes at me, and I looked at her kind of like, I didn't know. She knew I was, like I've told you, I was harmless. I was a nice buffer. She was actually there, I think, just to hang out and have a beer and watch the football game. She was there to watch Arkansas, Auburn, and wanted to be left alone. And she had found the perfect person to be next to her because, A, I wasn't really watching Arkansas, Auburn, and B, I was leaving her alone. I wasn't going to mess with her. At one point, she said, the extent of our conversation before this event occurred was, would you mind watching my glass? I'm going to the restroom. And I was like, yeah, sure. I guess meaning don't let anybody take my seat don't let anybody put something in my drink.
Or even take it if it's not
Or
empty.
take my drink if the waiter comes or whatever. I was like, yeah, sure.
Status quo. Can you keep my area as is?
And I did. In fact, someone came and I was like, yeah, someone's sitting here. And that was the extent of it. And she came back and she went, thanks. And I went, sure. The extent of our conversation. She knew I was harmless. And all of a sudden, harmless moves and lets harm get right in the way. And dude tried and he tried. He finally goes, I should have just let you stay here. You'd have had a better shot. And I went,
He said that?
yeah. And I went, I wasn't trying.
That was the whole point.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then he goes, what do you think's wrong with the Hogs? And at this point, the guys rubbed me the wrong way. I went, they suck. He didn't like that answer.
Well, there's a whole talent thing. Let me take you through it.
I don't know if you noticed, but the team in the blue shirts is significantly more talented than the team in the white shirts. And that tends to have an impact in football, sir.
I had a more positive female experience on Saturday night is I met several of our podcast listeners. Because my day changed as the Lightning came in. We were planning. Friend of the podcast, friend of mine, Kelly English, has just reopened Iris in the last few weeks from a remodel. We're going to go up there, have dinner, stay, whatever, make kind of a whatever about it, and do what?
Just a name
Just a name dropper,
yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, my friend Kelly English. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm playing.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You can't really use John Besh these days, so it's sorry. As the first lightning delay happens, and I'm like, okay, well, no big deal. It's still fine. Good. Dinner was at like 7:38. We're fine. It's okay. It's all right. All good.
Yeah.
But it's starting to kind of get a little thing, and like I'm getting texts from my wife going, "Are you okay?" I'm like, right now we're okay, but let's sort of see how this is playing out. Yeah. Because I'm also, we're also, she has a tennis match in Memphis on Sunday, so that was kind of the whole reason this thing got started. And I'm thinking, well, they're not going to play tennis tomorrow too, so like this thing's breaking down from all sides.
Right.
And then the second one hits, and then it's just lightning flashes nonstop at that point. Like they keep wanting to reset the clock to the 30 minutes, and you might as well just leave the clock alone because it's every 20 seconds. It's pop, 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 pop. We lose power in the press box at one point. Internet goes out, air goes out, lights go out. It's as David Brandt said, it was like that old Charlie Steiner commercial on SportsCenter where he's like run to freedom and's got the tie around his forehead or whatever. Yeah. And since that one lasts over 2 hours, could not pull that off at that point. So ended up somehow, and it might show you because of the crowd and everything going on in Oxford, because this typically would never happen on a game weekend. At 4:30, I was able to make a McEwen's reservation for 7:30. 3 hours out on a game night.
Yeah, that doesn't happen
No,
often.
that was because Kent State was in town, and there was about 400 people left from the stadium at that point. So... walking in, and there's a group over to my left, and they said, just now getting out of the stadium, and I was like, well, I'm pretty close or whatever, and started talking, but one of the females was part of our low percentage of females.
From basing on Twitter, our percentage is...
See, that's where I was going with this.
It's higher than 4%.
We had a pleasant conversation. We got done with dinner, went over, talked to them for a little while. They were watching the Mississippi State-Kentucky game in kind of the bar area while they were eating, and had a little conversation, and then as I tweeted it, suddenly getting inundated with female listeners that were speaking their approval of the Potato Log podcast here.
I know.
So it's kind of a pleasant company night there, but all worked out. It's all good. So
we're harmless.
That's
a lot of it.
No one was feared.
We're no threat.
No, it was all good. So, they had their husbands with them. We all had good conversation. It was all great.
It's all good.
It was good. Yeah. One of them said they made contact with you at Cal a couple years ago out there, or last year, I guess.
I was there.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get names. I'm not sure. Sorry. But anyway.
There was one couple that wanted me to meet them in San Francisco and have a drink, and I was going to, and then when I landed, a friend had given me a bottle of bourbon in Chicago as a gift the days before. And that bottle of bourbon, which I was not prepared to carry, I tried to carry it, and it broke.
Did it really?
And so I spent my Friday afternoon in San Francisco cleaning glass out of my suitcase and doing laundry.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Laundry.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
You had a complete suitcase covered in alcohol.
Yes. My suitcase smelled like an old-fashioned.
Yeah.
Just worse smells,
at least
but
you got the citrus hints. But
I needed to do laundry, so that did not happen.
Yeah, you made a point. You're covering an 8 o'clock game this Saturday, so there was very little sympathy. But that was one of the weirder, tougher to work environments for a little while there on Saturday afternoon as that game kept going.
Yeah, I don't remember, and look, it's the right thing to get everybody off the field and out of the stadium. Make no mistake. I don't remember lightning delays like this in the past.
Well, the only other one I recall that I covered or had any part of was, speaking of Ed Orgeron, the famous scrimmage prior to the start of the game when Wake Forest beat them like 28-3, and I think Wake threw the ball twice the entire game and still ran it up and routed them.
Yeah, someone said, do y'all have scrimmage stats? And I thought at first he was picking on the crowd. Then I realized, you're referencing the Orgeron scrimmagey thing.
Yeah. Full pads, 45 plays. Here we go.
So I intended to watch the game, and I watched as much of it as I could. I did not see the beginning because we were busy.
We might have had a lightning delay in the – did we or not? Not to stay on this. In the Masoli game in Fayetteville that day?
Oh,
did we have
did.
a delay in that game?
Maybe 2.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
So I watched most of the second quarter on my phone.
Okay.
And then I got to the hotel. We were at the hotel for a little while, and they actually had the SEC Network. And I watched part of the third quarter, and then we had to go again. And I watched a little of it on my phone. And then after like that last lightning delay, that game never came back to my devices. I couldn't get the devices to load the game again. So I did not see the – it was 31-17 when I could no longer watch. So I did not – whatever Ole Miss did at the last 8 minutes, I did not see it. So my observations from the game are quite limited.
Okay. Well, first half, sluggish offensively, obviously. They scored 7 points. It was 7-7 at the break.
Yeah. Saw that.
Missed some plays. Tamu had a shoulder banged up, was wrapped up in ice after the game. Said that as long as he could keep it loose, he felt fine, but that it would tighten up every time they came off the field or during the delays or anything along those lines. So he missed. I know Lodge once or twice. Lodge had a drop, and then Lodge kind of gave up on a play that would have been a touchdown as well. So there were several long plays that were missed. They still had not driven the ball the way that they really kind of need to do that moving forward for league play. First half got bailed out by Woody Barrett. Missed 2 throws that would have been touchdowns on one busted coverage and one just beaten coverage. Now, Woody Barrett makes all those throws, and Woody Barrett's not the quarterback at Kent State, so it kind of is a self-fulfilling prophecy there. You go, well, if Kent State had dynamic quarterback play, well, yeah, duh, that's part of it. But Kent State's not a good football team. They're not a good team in the MAC. Ole Miss overwhelmed their offensive front. They got a lot of activity on the defensive line. And if you want to say, okay, what is the positive? I think that is the positive from the standpoint of just how active they were, how energetic they were. They had more speed on the field. They moved Tariq Tisdale in there for more plays. They moved Charles Wiley inside, and he was just too quick for Kent State to handle in the middle of that line. And, to Matt Luke's credit, they said, hey, was that something you did out of game film or whatever? And he goes, no, well, Benito and Josiah got hurt, but they played 13 and 15 plays respectively one way or the other. And then Wiley played his season-high plays, and he played 42. Markel Winters played more and had 3 sacks. He missed some tackles, and Barrett kind of slipped away from him because Barrett was pretty slippery. He could run the ball a little bit. But they finished some plays. They were just better. They moved around more. There was more energy. The defensive front is the one thing where I do think you take it from it and go, well, if they get that effort, they can at least influence some things, change some pass, some throws, and it's a huge deal because I wrote about this yesterday in that Sunday Countdown thing that I do every week. Joe Burrow is kind of the same when you blitz him as to when you don't blitz him and he's not under pressure, which is not very accurate. He's completing 49% of his passes. But he really likes to eat up the middle, short part of the field. He likes to test linebackers. They try to get the ball to wide receivers in space in the middle of the field. You can look at his passing chart there in that story, and that's where he's been by far the best, is just kind of letting other people do the work. So you've got to pressure him with the front 4. His numbers drop precipitously when you're able to pressure him with just 4 or 5 rushers and don't have to bring the house. So that's going to be one of the keys for Ole Miss from a defensive stopping standpoint, to not let him beat you in the passing game, because he's only thrown 3 touchdowns. He's got 6 yards per attempt. He doesn't have an interception. It's just don't wreck the car right now for Joe Burrow and LSU. They're not a very good offense, but if you don't get pressure on him and you can't get there with 4, he at least has the opportunity to eat you up in the middle of the field, where Ole Miss is by far worse at linebacker than they are anywhere else on defense, and making that linebacker group work in space and tackle in space. That's what LSU's going to do. They're going to hammer the middle of the field.
Yeah, I agree. I think what I saw up front defensively is potentially a building block.
Yeah.
I'm not being negative. I'm not being positive. It's potentially a building block.
They look better doing it than they did against SIU.
Yes.
So that's okay.
Yes.
Fair enough.
It's potentially a building block. We'll start to see in 5 days how much of a building block it was, because obviously they're stepping up quite a bit in terms of the offensive line that they're going to face. I don't think anyone's looking at Kent State's offensive line and going, that's a dominant offensive line.
No, they have a center that's really good, and they were really bad at left tackle and right guard. They just got demolished from a personnel standpoint.
LSU's pretty good up front. Not great.
Well, because somebody made the point yesterday. Ole Miss did to Kent State defensively, from a defensive line standpoint, what an SEC program is supposed to do to a MAC team from a defensive line standpoint. So that's progress in some way, whatever you want to make of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the 85 Bears, nothing like that,
No,
just better.
Just better. Yeah, no one's ever going, I don't think ever going to confuse this defense with the 85 Bears, but it's better. They threw some different bodies out there. They have some film now. Maybe there's some competition. Maybe there's some guys that get on the field a little bit. Like I said, we'll find out. It's no secret what LSU's going to try to do. They're going to try to run it at you. They're going to try to get lots of chunks on first down. They've got speed to the perimeter. They're going to try to use it with some sweep stuff, and they're going to try to expose you in the running game, get you into some second and short, where Burrow can do what every other quarterback that plays against Ole Miss's linebackers tries to do, and that's pick on them. And Burrow is not particularly good. In a league full of good quarterbacks, he's not one. He does not make a lot of fatal mistakes. He manages games. I think he's a smart kid.
He looks a lot like a lot of other LSU mediocre quarterbacks have looked.
He's a smart kid. I think he's a tough kid. He competes. His teammates seem to like him, etc. I've had people ask me, what do you make of Louisiana Tech giving LSU a game? I expected, and said this all summer, Louisiana Tech would give LSU a game. A couple of reasons. One, Tech's decent. Skip Holtz has been there a little while. It's a nice program. It's not great. No one's going to confuse them for the 85 Bears or for Alabama or Clemson. But Tech's okay. And I knew that Louisiana Tech would go down to Baton Rouge and play hard. We were in Ruston in April, I think, on a college visit, and they were already talking about that game. They were geeked up about it. They were going to play hard. They were absolutely going to play LSU hard. There was no way around that. LSU got ahead of them. Maybe LSU took the foot off the gas. I don't know. I didn't see it. Here's the thing. I think the lines are out. We'll talk about lines in a minute. LSU's a favorite over Ole Miss. If you're picking the game straight up, you're picking LSU in all likelihood. Is it a winnable game for Ole Miss? I think it is. Ole Miss has to play its best game. If Ole Miss plays another game like the first four that they've played, they're not going to win the game on Saturday.
Ole Miss needs at least 2 turnovers, and they got to have fewer than 10 missed tackles.
Yeah, they're going to have to tackle better than they've tackled this year.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, well, is there any sign that they're going to do that? I don't know. Not yet, but sometimes teams have breakthroughs. Maybe this was a building block. That's why I said I think what happened in some phases of the Kent State game on Saturday is potentially a building block. We'll see. If they miss 15 tackles against LSU's running game, they're getting their butt kicked. And that's just the bottom line. LSU's defense on the other side is good. LSU's defense can be dominant. They're very good up front. They're fast. They're active. Their linebackers are good. Devin White's a really good player. And their secondary is full of talented kids who can make plays.
Oh, that's pretty fair. I mean,
let no one kid you. The Ole Miss game is personal to Ed Orgeron. If I were Ed Orgeron, the Ole Miss game would be personal to me. His team will be ready to play. I think the LSU game is to some degree personal to Matt Luke. He knows what the rivalry's about. He's from the coast. He grew up around probably a lot of LSU fandom, and I think this is a game that Matt wants to win badly. So I expect that it will be a competitive contest. LSU's, 5th, 6th in the country. It's at night. They're going to be really liquored up. The weather's going to be pretty good, I think, in Baton Rouge on Saturday. So it should be a pretty fun game at what I think is the best place in college football to watch a football game.
Ole Miss missed 13 tackles against Kent State on Saturday. For the most part, however, they tackled better when you look at an individual standpoint. Only a player or two had more than one missed tackle. It was kind of spread out amongst the roster. And per Pro Football Focus, the only bad tacklers on Saturday were Markel Winters. He had 3 sacks, but again missed some tackles. Willie Hibbler, Victor Evans, and Vernon Dasher and Austrian Robinson scored very poorly in tackling, but they had the majority of their team over 70, which is very, very good from a tackling standpoint on Saturday. So at the end of the day, now that's a couple different things. That's Kent State did not have some of the team speed, so they were able to get in position better than against some other opponents. But it's a positive from the standpoint of, and Wesley McGriff really didn't kind of take this out that was given to him. That's not completely an out because it's true. It was good for them just to get some confidence and have fun for a little while. Just have some positive success no matter who's on the other side of the field. And, that can be beneficial in certain circumstances.
It's much easier to go to practice and work on the things that you did wrong after a win than it is after a loss.
They had 265 yards of total offense at halftime, which is not good. Kent State had 265 at halftime.
Right.
They finished with 395. Good second half when the game was still partially in doubt. It wasn't like it was a blowout. It was fine. So.
They've played better in the second half of every game. At some point, you've got to bring that in the first half here soon.
Well, yeah, because you won't have a chance to come back.
I mean, if LSU, the way that it plays defense, gets up 17 points on you, you're not coming back.
No, you're just done.
You're done.
So we'll continue the talk in a second. We'll tell you about Oxford Wine and Spirits, located on College Hill Road next to Lost Pizza. Stock up, even though not a home game for a couple weeks. Go in, make sure your bar is ready to go for whatever you've got going on. Spend $150 or more, and they take 5% off wine, 10% off liquor, and they're already low prices that are 5% below industry standards. Noah and I in there a pretty good bit. I was in there on Friday. You should go on over to, again, College Hill Road next to Lost Pizza. That's Oxford Wine and Spirits.
The podcast also brought to you by Robert Gambrell and Gambrell and Associates. Robert knows that many of the people listening to this podcast will never need a bankruptcy attorney or a Social Security disability attorney. Many of you may be interested in reviewing your financial situation to consider asset protection. That's a part of what a good bankruptcy attorney does. Also, many of you have friends or relatives that get into difficult financial situations. Gambrell and Associates helps many people work through their times of hardship, whether that results in filing a bankruptcy petition or working to avoid a bankruptcy filing. Whatever your needs are, you, your relatives, or friends can get a free consultation for 1 hour or more to help make your decision on what is best for you. It's avvo.com or superlawyers.com or call 662-281-8800. Podcast also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Have you ever been thinking about that golf trip with the guys that you'll never forget? Or maybe that anniversary trip she'll never forget? Whether you've dreamed of playing St. Andrews or sitting at a cafe in Paris, talk to John Edwards before you try to do it yourself. Why use John? Well, he's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows John to supply his clients with added values and unique benefits that are simply not available to other travelers. John traveled the globe for 37 years before getting into the travel business, so he knows the extra attention that is needed to make a special trip one that creates a lifetime of unique memories. So if you're thinking about going with the boys to Pebble Beach or taking her to Napa for the vacation of your dreams, call John, give him some parameters and a budget, and let him give you some options. And know this, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. Call John, 901-494-3387, or send him an email at jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. And a reminder, we're down to the last week and a half or so of youth basketball registration in the Oxford Park Commission. Sign up your son or daughter today for one of the leagues. The age range is 5 to 15. The cost is just $50 per kid. Last year, more than 600 kids took part in the league, and OPC is expecting similar numbers this year. So don't miss your opportunity. Sign up for OPC Youth Basketball, www.oxfordparkcommission.com.
Podcast is brought to you by Tyson Drugs, TysonDrugs.com. They have a great app as well. They got the sildenafil that you may be looking for and more. 662-252-2321. They deliver wherever you are, and also now in Oxford as well with G&M Pharmacy on South Lamar, and they deliver local in the Oxford area. So, let's see. We'll go through some lines and get into some other games along the way as well. I'll give you a stat real quick before we do that. We'll get into kind of some of yesterday as well, the NFL and Tiger Woods and all that at the end of the show. But Clay Travis puts out a poll yesterday afternoon, and again, you got to consider slate, you got to consider some different things, but most people don't do this to the NFL. The question, Curious, what have y'all been primarily watching since early NFL games ended? Tiger or the NFL afternoon games? Tiger at 72% out of 26,000 votes yesterday.
I'm not surprised.
Not surprised. Just not many athletes in the world could pull that off against that king.
The only ones I can think of other than Tiger would be LeBron.
Maybe.
LeBron, when he's doing something special, people flip.
75?
I don't know, because it's a different kind of sport, but
Yeah.
people flip for LeBron.
No tennis person.
No. No tennis person.
No baseball person.
No hockey, no baseball.
That's it.
No football. I mean, the only other people that come to mind are Steph Curry. There might be worldwide some soccer people that
Yeah, sure. International crowds.
you
I'll
know.
go there. I guess I was more thinking domestic. But yeah.
In the U.S., I mean, I think it's Tiger. I think it's LeBron, and I think that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think if LeBron were going for 70 points in a game or 80 points in a game, or was
Breaking the all-time scoring record.
yeah,
or something.
I think people do flip for that.
Yeah.
He transcends sports.
But now there's a difference in flipping and sitting with someone for 3.5 hours.
Well, yeah, it's apples to grapefruits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of players that resonate.
Because that was what was funny about yesterday was he was locked in from like him on the third hole. It was like this is 4 hours of just waiting, and then frankly he almost kind of blows at the end. He plays really poorly down the stretch, but nonetheless. All right, again, a little bit of that later. But let's see. Lines for the week. Looking down through it, we're going to open up with this big-time showdown in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The ULL Ragin' Cajuns headed to Tideland to face Alabama. That is an 11 o'clock a.m. kick on some channel that I'm not aware of.
It's SEC Network, isn't it?
Okay, I don't know.
I think so.
I don't have channels on this place. I'm looking at the lines.
Okay, I think I know the games because I believe it or not, I've gotten ahead this week because I have to.
Alabama minus 49 against ULL on Saturday. If you're betting that, you have an addiction, you need to call a specialist.
Yeah, and the problem is that Saban,
Alabama can beat them by 50. Do they want to? I don't know.
Saban's problem is that he's so eager to preserve Hurts, that ego and stuff that
He plays him again, he loses the red shirt.
he takes two.
He's played 4 weeks.
Well, he's going to play. They're losing the red shirt. Sounds like my dogs are trying to kill each other.
Yeah, I like the younger one in that battle. Whatever. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to pick it. I hadn't decided, but whatever.
I don't think I'm laying 49 points. I don't think Alabama's interested in winning like that right now. They don't have to.
I didn't lay 30 in the stupid Arkansas game, and they won by 31.
I did. I laid that 30. And I said all along I would lay 40. And after watching Arkansas, I probably still would.
Well, they won by 31.
Yeah, but Auburn was just like, and still won by 31 points.
Speaking of, in Fayetteville this week, in Dallas, because they'll play home games. Texas A&M versus Arkansas at Jerry World this weekend, and it opened at 20. It is now at 18.5. A&M by 18.5 against the Razorbacks.
I love what Jimbo's doing. I love the culture that they've got going. They play differently than they've played in the past few years.
They made one critical mistake in the first half against Alabama, played pretty well, and was down 31-13. So
Alabama's the best team in the country. There's not a close second. A&M is different. You and I talked about this. There's a certain when everybody just gets into this, people get overly negative or people turn into Pollyanna or whatever. There is a certain degree of sports that is eye test. And if you watch A&M, they pass the eye test in a way that they didn't pass it before. They're more physical than they used to be. They play differently than they used to. There is a culture change that's happening inside that program, and you can see it on the field.
I want to throw some context to this. It's a question that I've gotten asked multiple times, been on the message board. Not saying good to great or anything along those lines, just a movement on the scale. Are we overemphasizing Ole Miss's loss to Alabama because of Alabama's dominance? And is there the potential that SIU was a very, very lethargic first half because, frankly, they just didn't give a crap till they had to.
Sure.
To move the dial just toward mediocre, toward that direction.
It's conceivable that they walked through the first half of the SIU game. It's conceivable.
And then just got popped.
Usually when a team sleepwalks like that, there's a wake-up call that goes off in the first quarter.
Yeah, it didn't last a half.
They missed a lot of tackles in that game. They did not look good in that game.
And got beat, frankly, from a physical standpoint several times.
And Alabama beat Ole Miss in a way that Alabama did not beat A&M.
No. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, just being real. But is it possible that Ole Miss is better than we think it is? Sure. We're going to start to find out. Look, here's reality.
They're going to play the games.
They're going to play LSU. They're going to play ULM in 12 days. And ULM is not crappy.
No, they're all right.
They're all right. They played Troy really well the other night, and Troy's good.
Yeah, they're good. They're a decent football team.
Am I saying that ULM is going to beat Ole Miss? No, I'm not. And the last time I said it was a losable game involving ULM, I lost my job. So I'm not even going to say that. But it will be a competitive game, and Ole Miss will have to show up and play it. Then Ole Miss goes to Little Rock. It's a game that Ole Miss should win. After watching Arkansas on TV the other night, God bless them, they're trying hard. And I think maybe they're getting a little better, but it is such a climb that it's a game Ole Miss should win. Now, can Ole Miss go sleepwalk in Little Rock and win? I don't think so. I think they'll have to play well. Ole Miss has defensive flaws that Chad Morris is going to pick on. Ole Miss is probably not going to hold Arkansas to 3 points the way Auburn did. And then the week after that, Auburn comes to town, and you'll have to have your big boy pants on to have a chance in that game. That's not negative. That's not being overly critical. That's just real. Auburn's really good up front on defense, and if you don't bring your big boy pants, you're going to get exposed. But there's time. In the game Saturday against Kent State, there were, again, some potential building blocks.
Yeah.
You have to build on them, but it's there to build on.
Their win against Texas Tech looks much better by the day because Texas Tech beats the crap out of Oklahoma State on Saturday. They beat Houston last week. They're playing really, really well. What is giving me hesitance here is that Kingsbury, before Houston and before Oklahoma State, has been able to get back to Lubbock, chill with that quarterback, reset him, and then figure out what he does well. And it wasn't the panic moment when McLean Carter gets hurt. And is it McLean Carter?
Yep.
Okay.
You're good.
McLean Carter gets hurt, and suddenly it's, okay, dude, go out, go. And there was none of that, take a breath, let's figure out what you do well, what this dude does well, let's play with this a little bit.
What you're discovering with A&M is that they picked the wrong quarterback.
Or Tech.
Tech. Is they picked the wrong quarterback.
Yeah.
Had he started the season with Bowman, maybe that game's different. Maybe it's not. We don't know. Yeah. They're not going to go back and replay.
Ole Miss did a really good job defensively in that opener of getting off the field in the second half on third down. That is what won that game in the convincing fashion that it wanted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it a good win? Yeah.
Custis made 2 huge plays. Well, he's got an ACL injury. He's not playing the rest of the season.
Right.
Jalen Jones, their best secondary player, is not playing the rest of the season. So we'll see. They're going to play a lot of kids. They played Keydron Smith more. They played Jacquez Jones more. Ruggs is still playing a lot and learning. He's kind of running around in circles, but he's an athlete. You put him out there and let him figure it out. Yeah. So, I don't know. Anyway.
Again, some potential building blocks. It's going to be loud. It's going to be crazy. Greg Little said before the season this was the game he looked forward to. And I said, why? And he said, because we didn't handle it well 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. I said, you didn't handle what well? He said, we didn't handle the noise, the environment. It got to us. We got intimidated. It bothered us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, for a kid like Cavante Ruggs and Jones and Keydron Smith, and
you're going to have to take your breath and go, okay,
I mean,
here we are.
It's 100,000, and it's going to be loud, and they're going to play that song, and their band's going to play, and it's going to get a little crazy, and you either respond to it or you don't, and we'll find out. The game will start 0-0. That will be the score when it kicks off at 8:15.
Interesting game. Speaking of here, I'm getting on this one next. In Lubbock this weekend, they get the West Virginia Mountaineers.
Yeah.
West Virginia minus 4.5 in Lubbock this weekend.
I like West Virginia in that game.
I do too.
But we'll see.
Oklahoma State smarting. They head to Lawrence, Kansas, where they're a 16.5-point favorite over the Jayhawks this weekend.
I like them big.
Army scared the crap out of Oklahoma over the weekend. They're 6-point underdogs to Buffalo this weekend in Buffalo.
Really?
Against the Bulls. Bulls have played well. Indiana's going to beat the crap out of Rutgers. Just kind of scrolling down.
Rutgers is awful.
Just terrible.
Awful.
Just terrible. Bad football team. ULM is a 6-point favorite, and actually now it's up to 8. 8-point favorite over Georgia State in Atlanta this weekend.
Oh, yeah. All the good money's coming in on the Hawks.
All the good money.
Yep.
That's what that is.
Played Troy well. They were down 35-7 and came back and made it a game.
Kent State is getting 8 at Ball State this weekend. Speaking of action coming up on Saturday.
Boy. Saturday in Muncie.
We have no line on Tennessee and Georgia yet. Is that because of a quarterback injury?
It might just be because Tennessee sucks.
They haven't decided yet what to do. Because they do really suck.
They really suck. Florida beat them to death.
Tennessee, Jeremy Pruitt, God bless him, got a rebuilding job going on in Knoxville.
We're going to talk about it in a minute. This Dan Mullen game at State Saturday night, it has meltdown written all over it. Look, get mad at me all you want, people. I don't care. I don't want you to be mad at me, but if you are, you are. Dan Mullen's a good coach. Dan Mullen might be a bad dude. I don't know. It's pretty questionable his role in the Ole Miss investigation. There's no doubt about that.
I'm not sure it's actually questionable at all. But
Dan Mullen's football coaching acumen is strong.
Yeah, sure.
Period. And this guy got beat by Kentucky, and he basically went in and said, okay, can we do it my way now? You got this out of your system. Can we do it my way? And they have proceeded. And again, it's Colorado State and it's Tennessee, 2 teams that are not going to the playoff. But he's dominated them and looked good in the process. And they're going to go to Starkville on Saturday. No one knows Nick Fitzgerald's weaknesses better than Dan Mullen. No one. They're going to pick on those weaknesses. And if State loses to Florida, to Dan Mullen, the meltdown there is going to just be off the charts. Because for whatever reason, they've got bloodlust going in this thing about Mullen. And I don't get it. Honestly, I don't. He stayed a decade. How long did you think he was going to stay?
Yeah, they're out on that as well. It's because he didn't care at the end.
Yeah, he did. Not only do I know that, I know for an absolute fact that he did because he was playing jobs against the other. He needed leverage. I promise you, Dan Mullen wanted to beat Ole Miss there at the end last year. His quarterback broke his leg in the first quarter, and Ole Miss played well.
Frankly, it should be giving Joe Moorhead some thought to go look at that film because the backup's better than Fitzgerald.
For what Moorhead wants to do, Thompson's better than Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think they're going to do that.
I don't either, but he can't throw a lick.
No, his throwing sucks. That's 3 sucks in one show, but it does. His throwing is awful.
We've never gotten in trouble over that word.
Nah. We've said worse than that.
Yeah.
He doesn't play the position well. He's an athletic kid. He's a good runner, but you know what, Chase? He's not the same runner since the injury. I'll tell you who is a hell of a runner.
Who?
You don't want to claim him. That's your problem. Benny Snell. Whew, son.
I got a little enamored with him on Saturday night. Kind of got the warm and fuzzies moving a little bit.
I'm going to tell you this about Kentucky, no joke, and I've seen them play now Florida and Mississippi State.
All right.
At the line of scrimmage, they will kick your ass.
They were one cocky freaking football team all week, and then they backed it up.
They get at the line of scrimmage, and they bring it to you.
That linebacker, whatever his name was when the game was over, he was just eating a cheeseburger.
All good.
Hammering Mississippi State in the postgame.
They put Snell in that Wildcat and just sometimes go, it's 3rd and 2. You know what's coming. We don't think you can stop it.
Hey, Benny, go get 2 yards.
They might win 9-10 games.
Well, the East is not good.
They're not going to beat Georgia, but everybody else is beatable.
They could beat Missouri.
Oh, sure.
They could beat South Carolina.
Probably will.
Wonder where it's at.
It's this weekend in Lexington.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Getting big crowds.
Be a little letdown, though, but sure.
Maybe. Running games typically don't have letdowns.
No, they it's kind of like defense, basketball, it travels.
When you're physical.
Yeah.
And State, and I'm not picking on State here because I was one of the people that really thought State was really good.
Yeah.
And they are really good on defense.
State does two things.
What I was going to say was
Okay.
they lose their composure.
That's where I was
so
going
fast.
with this. There's two things they do. Number one, they cannot throw the ball down the field, and that's going to get you beat against good teams. A lot of times. They can make you one-dimensional and make you throw it.
Right.
And two, Benny Snell and Jeffrey Simmons get into it before the game on Saturday. They allow
Simmons kick him.
I did not see.
He couldn't get him on the ground.
You know, they can get him on the ground.
Well, I mean, that's typical.
Benny could defend himself more than the female from a couple years ago.
I'm going to guess, and this is nothing against that woman. I'm just going to guess that Benny is probably stronger and more agile and better able to protect himself than she is. And again, I mean that as no offense to her whatsoever.
Yeah. But yeah, if you can create a chaotic environment against Mississippi State, they allow their actions to be dictated by that environment. They cannot stay steady and composed in those situations. So, I mean, in some ways, it might have been part of a Kentucky plan. Hey, let's get at them a little bit, rattle them, try to be that guy because they can't handle it.
If you talk a little bit, they
against
lose
Ole Miss and against Kentucky, they have shown they cannot handle that well.
Kind of left the blueprint out there.
I mean, now Alabama's not going to talk. They're just going to beat the crap out of them for 60 minutes. But
Alabama's going to take the running game away, and they're going to put the thing in Fitzgerald's hands, and it might get ugly.
Yeah. State Auburn's going to be fascinating in a couple weeks. I'm intrigued by that game a lot.
State Ole Miss is going to be interesting if Ole Miss can take enough of the run game away to make him throw some.
Yeah, they can't just let Kylan Hill run all over the place. But
No.
But
Kentucky took him away.
Moorhead's got a lot of experience. I don't know if he's a good or bad coach. We don't know. Who knows yet? But
he's a really good offensive coach.
He is. But he's not used to this style, and he's doing the hard-headed thing. He's going, well, we got to throw it. We got to throw it. Got to be balanced. We got to throw it. Got to throw it. Got to throw it. Just run the stupid football.
Yeah, the team across the sideline said, you know what? We're not going to throw it.
Yeah, I don't need to throw it.
We'll give it to Benny Snell. And they play hard. Kentucky plays hard. Stoops has done a good job there. You're not going to win a championship, but they could win 9 games this year and get them into basketball season and go play a bowl game on New Year's Day somewhere. If you're Kentucky, that's pretty good. Get into November and you're still playing decent football games now that basketball season starts. It's all gravy.
Yeah, Kentucky's fans are all good.
They're solid.
Going to keep us entertained for a little while.
I mean, pulling out the UK schedule here, I'm curious how this thing could go. They're 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0. They get South Carolina at home this week.
I think they lose, but okay.
Okay, I think they win. Carolina did look good against Vandy. I saw some of that. They go to Texas A&M.
Ooh.
It's trouble. Yeah. Weekend off. Vanderbilt at home.
Going to win that one.
At Missouri.
Big game. Huge game for both teams.
Georgia at home is lost. Tennessee at home is a win.
Yep.
Middle Tennessee at home is a win.
Yep.
And at Louisville, which right now
that's a win. Louisville sucks.
It's 9, maybe even 10 wins, man.
Worst 8-4.
Yeah.
At worst 4-4 the rest of the way.
9-3, a trip to the Outback Bowl.
Oh, good.
Kentucky. You offer their fans that 100 out of 100.
I don't think they've been ranked since Andre Woodson.
Well, they're ranked this week.
That's what I mean. Since
Benny and the boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I misspelled his name because I had a couple drinks on Saturday, but
that's all right.
That was fine.
That's all right. You waited awfully long to get interested in Benny, to make him your football lover for the fall.
Yeah, frankly, I think I waited too long.
I think you did. I think he's gone. I don't.
He's too popular for that to be okay. Like Larry Rose at New Mexico State a few years ago, he'd have waited on me. But Benny, little different deal.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, he's better than Ralph.
He is. He's a lot more tread on those tires than Ralph there at the end.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Ralph's
watch it now.
Ralph's tires were bald. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
You 4 years at Vanderbilt running behind that group. That happens.
There's nothing left.
Yeah.
You're just waiting to hydroplane.
They got every bit of juice out of that peach. So, all right. Anyway. Check out, visit OxfordMS.com for events coming up. Even though there's not football, plenty more going on. We've been Tony the Wizard of Oz coming to the Ford Center on October 21st in a couple weeks before Ole Miss home games. Take that double-decker bus tour. If you got kids, not a bad thing for there. Just to get out, see what there is for Oxford to offer, including dining, arts, and more. They had some art crawls coming up here in the next couple weeks as well, and it's a great place just for taking a weekend away, even if there is no football on tap. Actually, frankly, it's a better weekend to take away with football not on tap, so this weekend may be good for that if you're not headed to Baton Rouge. Remember, Thacker Mountain Radio on Thursdays at 6 o'clock out in front of All Square Books. And again, visit oxfordms.com/events.
Podcast also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, that's the place to go. It's off Interstate 55 in Grenada, Mississippi. They have a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles, great lease deals as well. Bottom line is this. I've been doing business with Gene and Sandy for more than a decade. They're great people. Service there is just fantastic. It's fast. It's accurate. They're just excellent to work with. You will enjoy your car buying experience and your relationship with Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. Podcast also brought to you by Harry Alexander. He is the sponsor of my 10 Weekend Thoughts, which did not appear this weekend. I took the weekend off from those. They'll be back again on Sunday, post LSU. Some MLB preview. The playoffs start in a week. So we'll talk about that and other things in 10 Weekend Thoughts. They're brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX Legacy Realty agent. He's been in Oxford more than 4 decades. No one knows the residential and condo market in Oxford better than Harry. Go to his site. He'll prove it to you. HarryAlexander.com. Click on the Properties and Neighborhoods tab. Filter through by what you are looking for, and then send him an email. It's ha@harryalexander.com. Podcast also brought to you by Oxford University Bank. OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with the personal touch. OUB also offers its customers the absolute best cash checking account. It's called Kasasa. And with Kasasa, Oxford University Bank will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000. And with Kasasa, ATM fees nationwide are refunded. To learn more about OUB, check out liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured.
Podcast is brought to you by Locker Stockers. If you took advantage of that and were around for the lightning delays, you were all good. You're just in your locker, your suite for game day. Locker Stockers would have had you ready to go. So a couple weeks away from ULM, more home games coming later in the year as well against SEC opponents. Give them a call, 662-586-1487 or info@lockerstockers.com. So let's see, continuing a little bit of line work here. Texas, as you mentioned, they are it's interesting, only 7-point favorites at a Kansas State team that's just been getting bombed by everybody this weekend. Kind of like the Longhorns to cover that one.
Yeah, I do too.
That's interesting.
They're back.
Did you see Bill Snyder's kind of cryptic quote on Saturday?
I did not.
It said something about how he does not think he can coach a team that can't get 6 inches. Might be. Gonna let the pause there for a second.
Try not.
Yeah.
Can't help myself. That's
Point being, though, he might be about to walk away.
Well,
look, he's been the
if
only
you can't
guy.
get 6 inches, maybe you just that's you just.
It's time to walk away.
Time to walk away. Do something different.
He's the only guy who's ever won in that program. You can't fire him, but it becomes diminishing returns at some point.
Yeah,
there's no doubt. I mean, Bobby Bowden, Joe Paterno, you've seen that a lot of different places.
He's old.
Yeah. Wayne Graham at Rice destroyed a baseball program.
Yeah.
You know. So
you can hang on too long.
Speaking of Louisville a minute ago, they are tell you how bad they are right now. They're 6-point underdogs to Florida State at home this weekend.
Too bad.
It's not good for you right there.
Two bad teams.
Two really bad teams. Willie Taggart was brought in to recruit. He better. That's all I can say.
How did Florida State get that bad?
No, because the talent should be better than that.
We saw them in 2016 in person, and they were good. They were good.
Now, Derwin James not on that team and everything, but still, they were still recruiting guys. Wake Forest, I think, is the first coordinator change of the year, fired their defensive coordinator after giving up a lot of points to somebody last week.
Yeah, he was in his second season as the defensive coordinator. Gave up 56 last week, I think.
To somebody. I don't know. Let's see. Nebraska 0-3 with Scott Frost so far. They are 3-point underdogs at home to Purdue this weekend.
Huh.
Yeah. See Virginia Tech get boat raced by Old Dominion over the weekend?
I did see that. I actually listened to an interview yesterday with the Old Dominion coach. He was pretty excited.
Was he?
He'd had a good day.
He had a good day.
Yeah.
Went well for him.
Sunday was a good day at Norfolk.
Yeah, he walked into his office, propped his feet up. AD probably called him and said, nice job. It's all good.
Yeah, he had a good day.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Southern Miss is on the road, by the way. Congratulations to Jack Abraham, a 400-yard passing day. I think less than 10 in program history for Southern Miss. He had one of those against Rice on Saturday afternoon. They are at the Auburn Tigers this weekend. Auburn is opened at 30. It's actually down to 27. They are a 27-point favorite against Southern Miss. Makes you wonder what the Southern Miss Arkansas line would be. Just judging a couple lines in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Again, watching Arkansas on the big screen up above me the other night.
Bad football team.
They're capable of losing to anyone.
They are. Tennessee State is playing Vanderbilt this weekend, so the Commodores will get healthy. You might have some interest in this one around 3:30 on Saturday. The Michigan Wolverines and one Shea Patterson. They're in Evanston, Illinois this weekend.
Yeah, I know.
Michigan Northwestern this weekend.
My boy's getting ready for Shea.
Florida at Mississippi State. The Bulldogs 8-point favorites over the Gators.
Give me the points.
You want the points?
I think so.
Felipe Franks is not a good quarterback, but he's doing enough.
He's better than Fitzgerald.
Well, there's truth there. So, you're going to take the points?
He's a better thrower than Fitzgerald. Florida, look, Tennessee's horrible, but Florida really looked good against them.
Is there a pregame, not skirmish, but kerfuffle
I'm sure
on Saturday?
There is half the time. It's a safe bet. They have no ability to control themselves. I mean, I don't know what they're going to yell at Mullen. Hey, bitch, why'd you leave? I mean, he ought to walk out with a big $6.1 million T-shirt. I left for the money. You knew I was going to leave. I tried to leave for 3 years.
Wasn't the first time he filled out a job application.
No, I mean, he hired Jimmy Sexton to get him out, and he got out. That's why when there are people in the whole, well, he wasn't trying at the end. Oh, yes, he was. He did not want to get stuck there another year.
Speaking of Virginia Tech, 3-point underdogs to Duke in Durham this weekend with David Cutcliffe.
What's Duke's record?
Pretty good. They lost their quarterback, though. They've been struggling a little bit offensively the last couple weeks, I think. All right, South Carolina, as you mentioned, they're in Lexington. Tight line here. The Wildcats, 1-point favorites over the Gamecocks. I don't know. I hadn't decided yet. Kind of leaning Carolina, though. I think
so. I think Kentucky wins, but that's a really good game. Carolina's good. The people who made rash judgments on Carolina based on the Georgia loss.
It's not fair. It's like a lot like Alabama.
Georgia's almost an outlier.
Ohio State's in Happy Valley playing Penn State this weekend. Ohio State by 4.5 against the Nittany Lions.
Ohio State's good.
Yeah. Go James Franklin this weekend.
Yeah.
North Texas.
James Franklin and Urban Meyer, and you look out there and you
go, hey, James, my kind of guy.
James Franklin, the better dude.
Yeah.
The guy who actively...
There's not many fields out there that he would be the better dude on, but that's one of them.
Allegedly, actively...
Covered up a gang rape. Yeah.
And you look at the two...
Palatable.
People,
that's the side you take.
He's more palatable than Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Big Ten football.
Yeah. North Texas minus 7.5 against your Louisiana Tech group on Saturday. North Texas, the feel-good story of the year so far.
Yeah, that's in Ruston.
Sean Luttrell going to get paid.
He's
in a few weeks.
Yeah.
That's in North Texas. I believe that is the Denton, Texas area.
That might be the safest money that you've mentioned to me yet.
What? North
Tech's
Texas?
going to have a letdown, and North Texas is really good. Minus 7.5 might be free money.
Okay, at home. Whatever that means in Texas.
Not much.
Stanford plays Notre Dame this weekend. Stanford +3 in South Bend this weekend.
That's actually a pretty good game.
I'll take my points.
Yeah.
I'll take my points. I'm not convinced on Notre Dame. Give me my points in the Cardinal. See where Oregon fans were throwing bottles at Stanford after the game on Saturday?
That's classy.
Yeah, like literally glass bottles raining down on them.
I did not see. That's scary.
Well, yeah, I mean, That was similar to the Alabama Ole Miss thing in 06 or whatever with Shea Hodge when you had to put your back against the stadium because bottles were raining down. I think Bruce Newman got hit on like the elbow or something, cut it open.
Really?
Yeah.
At A&M?
No, Ole Miss Bama.
Ole Miss Bama.
The Shea Hodge red shoe year.
Oh, yeah.
Down the sideline.
Yeah.
That year.
Yeah, that was – I was there. I remember that.
Ole Miss at LSU opened at 14, now at 13. 13 for the Tigers. I told you it was going to be 13.5, so I was really close to this one. I've been really good on predicting Ole Miss lines this season. Everybody looks at this and goes, give the points. And I understand that, and I probably will. LSU's offense scares the crap out of me because of Burrow.
This game is typically in Baton Rouge a close game.
We always talk about what stat do you want? How many plays of more than 20 yards does Ole Miss have? Give me that number, and then I'd like to pick the game. They got to hit some big plays. Do they hit them?
How many points does Ole Miss have to score to win the game? To win the game, how many points does Ole Miss have to score?
They have to get this game in the 30s.
I agree. I was going to say 34 points.
Yeah, 34-31, 31-27, 34-27, something like that.
Yeah, I think they got to get into the mid-30s.
And they need at least 2 turnovers.
Yeah.
2 turnovers and how many and a lot of 20-plus plays, I think.
What you can't do, and this is the problem for Ole Miss, and this is frankly what scares me a little bit for Ole Miss in this game, is you can't have that bad first half. You're just
from the snap.
You got to be ready to go.
Because if they get up on you 14-0, the game's over.
They can start running it, and they start peeling their ears back on that defense. And they're good enough on that defensive front to get after the quarterback, and Tamu doesn't need to get hit tons of times. And it gets loud there. It's an intimidating venue from just a noise standpoint. Oh, today's press conference will be fun. The LSU Ole Miss press conference is always fun.
We have history lessons on Mondays.
There will be a history lesson in today's about what this game means. Yep.
LSU, Alabama's taking precedence just because of importance. But they get geeked up for this one. It'll be live on Saturday night.
Oh yeah.
It'll be.
Yeah. The weather's supposed to be okay.
Even in bad years, Ole Miss kind of scares them a little bit down there from time to time. Beats them occasionally.
Yeah.
Even with bad teams.
Yeah. No, it'll be lit, as the kids say.
It'll be lit. Hey, I wrote about that day 12 years ago. Ed Orgeron almost took it too.
He did.
Marcus Russell and Dwayne Bowe in that group.
The challenge for me is going to be making myself take a nap
earlier in the day.
And then also the challenge is going to be not going to the stadium too early.
Then you're just sitting there.
Oh, you get there at 5 o'clock, and you're like, why am I here?
Well, on Saturday, I got to Vaught-Hemingway. I knew I was going to get there quickly, but that drive took like 3.5 minutes. And I was sitting in the parking garage going, oh, God, it's an hour and 40 minutes before this game starts. And then you have the delays and the delays and the delays and the delays.
It's a long day.
And it's like, you have to make yourself not eat constantly because you're just bored.
Yeah.
You're just because for a while I had no internet either, so it's not like I'm watching golf or I'm watching Netflix. I'm just sitting there.
And LSU usually puts out that cheese dip with the chips. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it just sits there and looks at you, and you're like, well, I guess I could get some. And then before you know it, you've gone back 6 times.
You've eaten a gallon.
And now you're angry at yourself for the rest of the night. So I'm going to try not to do that. I'm going to try to be more.
It's no Muscadine Ripple, right? But it's all right.
Last time I was there, it was the night the Cubs won the pennant.
Oh, yeah, you got in trouble.
I got in trouble. Kent Lowe yelled at me.
Oh, Kent yelled at you?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep.
Do you think you were cheering about the game?
I think he thought I was cheering the Ole Miss LSU game.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I was like, Kent, dude, I'm back here. I'm not out there, and I have no idea what's going on in Ole Miss LSU. I'll cover the second half. Relax.
SIDs get a little...
They do. They get weird.
Get a little pissy sometimes.
And the way that game was going, it was a good call on my part because all you had to watch was the third quarter to write what you needed to write.
Oh,
that was not Ole Miss's best effort that season.
That was the one where Fournette could have run for Geis or whomever could have run for yards and yards and yards and yards and yards.
Yeah, back where I was, I could look over at a TV and see the Ole Miss LSU game, and you just saw LSU just gashing them at the line of scrimmage, and you're like, this isn't going to be a contest. There's all all the drama in the world is not going to make.
And now they're not as good at running back as that. There's no guys.
There's no Fournette.
Yeah,
they're good up front, and they're serviceable at running back. They've got some weapons on the outside, and Burrow is a game manager and an average one at that.
But yeah, sure. He hasn't thrown a pick. That's the story for Burrow.
No, you nailed it earlier. They're going to ask him, don't lose the game.
It's going to be throw the ball in the middle of the field in front of the linebackers and then hope the wide receivers break tackles and run around linebackers.
And they're going to play action and see if Ole Miss's linebackers do what they've done a lot this year, which is overcommit.
That's how Kent State scored their first touchdown.
And you slip a tight end behind them,
yeah,
and you get 12 yards on a pass play. That's what they're going to try to do. It's not complicated. No. It's not going to be some big surprise. Steve Ensminger's not going to completely change his DNA.
No. Podcast brought to you in part by Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing in Memphis. You're getting local underwriting and understands your market. A leader in condo financing in Oxford and the float down option. So you lock in the current rate, but if rates go down before you close, you get that lower rate on your pre-approval. Give him a call, 662-234-2704, or JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
Guests will join us this week on the Billy's Pecans hotline, billyspecans.com. Go to the site, BILLIES pecans.com. Check out all their great products. If you're interested in corporate gifting, that's a great corporate gift. It's a great thank you. The product's fantastic. All the different pecans, the cheese crispies, the coffee cakes, and more. Be great for your tailgate. It would be great for your road trip down to Baton Rouge. Whatever the case may be, Billy's Pecans is fantastic. It's billyspecans.com. Speaking of tailgating, Ole Miss will be back in Vaught Hemingway a couple of times in August. ULM and Auburn both coming to town in August. In October, I should say. I'm completely losing my mind. 7 South Tailgating. They've been with us for a long time. They've been in business for 10 years. Try them once. You'll never tailgate without them again. Get in touch with Kyle Thornton and the people there. You can set up your own personal gear or rent everything from them. No one matches their customer service, their attention to detail at 7southtailgating.com. And we're brought to you by Megan Phillips with LAH Real Estate. She's the person to call for all your real estate needs in the Birmingham area. With almost a decade of experience, Megan's knowledge and expertise can help you buy or sell your home today. So visit her website, meganmphillips.com, MEAGANMphillips.com, or call Megan at 205-602-7929.
You were on the road, and you were getting some work done, even though you didn't have 10 thoughts coming out last night. Yesterday, overall, was just kind of a fun TV day. You had all the Tiger Woods stuff, and again, because he was up so big, and then he birdied one and kind of had a 5-shot lead for the most of the round. It was a coronation until there at the end when, again, he kind of played poorly down the stretch. But it's win number 80. It was, from a coming back from injury standpoint, it's the biggest comeback from injury in sports history, potentially.
Yeah.
Got a guy with a broken back, essentially. Yeah. Got ACL injuries, Achilles injuries.
Yeah.
Addictions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one stroke away from winning the FedEx Cup yesterday, from winning the whole shebang, the $10 million for the year and all that stuff. Going to Paris on the Ryder Cup team. His world ranking is up to 13. Already back up to 13. Reminds me, different sport, but, Agassi at one point had fallen into like the 200s in the world ranking and got back to number 1 at one point in the 90s. Still a great biography, by the way, if you hadn't read it. Open. It was just fun. It was cool. They, in golf, for a sport that never lets its guard down, let its guard down yesterday. Let all the fans trickle in behind him on 18. You probably saw it on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, I saw the pictures.
Thousands of people coming down the 18th fairway, essentially just letting Woods lead them to the green. It was just a cool moment. It was a neat deal. He was crying on multiple parts of that last hole yesterday, walking up to the bunker. He made a comment about how, frankly, he had to kind of control himself because all he thought was, hey, I could still skull this thing into the clubhouse out of the bunker here. Let me settle down, make one more shot. Because everything he's been through, people love redemptive characters. And it's hard to find one more than Tiger Woods right now.
We live in a forgiving society. People love second chances. Because everybody screws up.
Humility is a really good look on Tiger Woods.
Of course. I told you, I have been waiting for him to win so that
he showed emotion.
Yeah. Talked about how it's been a hard couple of years.
Yeah. was really appreciative of a lot of other golfers that had waited around to congratulate him that said, they kind of knew what I was dealing with.
Yeah, sure. When you don't physically know whether you're going to be able to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know.
Yeah.
And, he paid the price for his indiscretions. A very public price.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to be okay. It's a good story.
Yeah.
He's
probably not done winning.
No, probably not.
And again, it's one limited field event at the end of the year. Justin Rose walked away with a much bigger paycheck on Sunday. But I think even yesterday with the crowds and whatever, you saw some of that tightness from other guys when Tiger gets it rolling and the crowds and the people and everything. I thought I saw some loose shots from some other players because, frankly, for a lot of them, that's the first time they've ever had to deal with that. They didn't have to deal with that 08, 06, 02 Tiger where it was just suffocating for other players.
Tiger takes golf from fringe to mainstream.
Yeah.
He's the only guy that does it.
Yeah.
I mean, right or wrong, good or bad.
Somebody on the No Laying Up podcast I was listening to this morning had an interesting take, said that in some ways it's almost bad for golf because if he comes back and dominates for 4 or 5 years and really is like, hey, top player in the world, 3 more majors, and then when he leaves, all that capital golf spent to build up those young stars and get you caring about that next generation, well, they're getting beat by a 44, 45-year-old Tiger Woods, and then when he leaves, it almost leaves a more gaping hole in the sport than when he left last time.
Well, yeah, yes and no. It does. Golf will have to find somebody else, but golf will at that point be in the same boat that most every other sport is in.
When they lose their transcendent character.
I mean,
yeah.
Who right now in all of sports, other than Tiger Woods, other than maybe LeBron James, who really consistently moves the needle in all of sports? Tiger does.
Yeah.
LeBron does.
Probably some soccer players overseas that I don't know.
But American players. Who in America truly moves the needle? Does anyone in the NFL truly move the needle? Maybe Aaron Rodgers a little bit?
No, look, dude, from an NFL standpoint, and I'm making this sentence and moving on, you could make the argument Colin Kaepernick moves it more than anyone else. He doesn't play.
Yeah. But of guys who play, who truly makes people stop and watch. In all of sports, other than Tiger, LeBron, probably Steph Curry, because so many people identify with Steph because he's not 6'10". He looks like one of them. He just doesn't play like one of them. But who truly moves the needle? Who stops things? There's no one in baseball that just stops you to watch. When I was a kid, there were times like when Fernando Valenzuela was pitching, Mark Fidrich was pitching. That was must-see TV. It's over. Those days are over. I bet you can't even tell me who's going to win the American League Cy Young and wouldn't know him if he were walking in Oxford.
No.
Blake Snell's going to win the American League Cy Young. Do you even know who he plays for?
No.
Plays for the Tampa Bay Rays. Jacob deGrom is completing a season. He's going to win the National League Cy Young in all likelihood. If the Mets had scored 4 or more runs in every Jacob deGrom start, he would be 30-0.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yet I think Jacob deGrom could walk the streets of Oxford, Mississippi, or Fayetteville, Arkansas, or Auburn, Alabama, and I don't think anyone would notice them, would have any idea who he was. Who are the people in sports that truly stop the time, that move the dial? There aren't many. It's Tiger, it's LeBron, and I'm having a hard time coming up with another one.
That is an incredibly impressive regular season from Blake Snell. Just looking it up, just going, wow, that's good.
A phenomenal season.
He's a bargain at his $507,000 salary. He's got paid last year.
Probably going to get a raise.
Yeah.
But Blake Snell's going to win the American League Cy Young Award. No one knows who that is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no baseball players who truly stop things, make you stop and go, I'm watching this.
No.
I mean, it's been a while. They had McGuire and Sosa and Griffey and Bonds and those kind of people, and they've been replaced by better players. I was telling you the other day, Mike Trout, statistically, going on WAR, wins against replacement.
Best player of all time.
Is through this number of games the best player to ever put on a Major League Baseball uniform. He is. According to computers.
Yeah.
Mike Trout could walk through the Grove next Saturday, and I'm telling you, there wouldn't be 10 people who noticed him.
No. And then I, frankly, because I didn't want to get in a bad mood, if you know the truth, I watched 4 plays of Saints-Falcons during regulation yesterday. And this is no lie. I swear on anything. I was watching Tiger, and I was slipping back. I watched 3 Falcons touchdowns and a Saints personal foul in the 4 plays I saw in regulation.
Well, you did the right thing by turning it off.
That was all I saw. And then for overtime, once I heard they won the coin toss, I turned it on. Because I knew whoever was winning that damn coin toss was winning the game. So
I watched Cubs White Sox, and I wanted to watch the White Sox. It was Hawk Harrelson's final broadcast. And he hates the Cubs, and he's been an active Cub hater his entire life. And then he starts crying in about the 7th or 8th inning of his last broadcast, and you can hear him sniffling the entire last 30 minutes of the broadcast. And instead of laughing at it, I felt bad. I felt bad for Hawk Harrelson at the end of the damn game. That's how I spent my day.
That's quite the turn for you there, bud.
Yeah, I'm soft.
Well, you would, given your whole fandom, whatever, irritation, you'll appreciate this. I did not have any negative interaction with any Falcons fan yesterday.
Really?
None. Now, had they won the game, I'd have gotten hate mail, but nothing. Corey Keys and I kind of lamented by the fact that we both suck for a little while, and that was kind of it. Nothing. Russell tried to mess with me a little Saturday, and I just kind of ignored it, but that was kind of it.
Congrats to Braves fans, by the way.
Clinched.
You waited a long time. Your team's really good.
Way ahead of schedule. I listened to an interview with Alex Anthopoulos yesterday when I was driving. They're going to be a pain for a few years.
Even he admitted that, we didn't see this coming this year. Saw it coming, didn't see it coming this year.
Yeah, just get in it, experience it.
Sure.
Hey, you're in the tournament.
Braves, Dodgers.
Somebody's got to win.
Yep. So. Braves, Dodgers, and then probably some matchup involving Cubs, Brewers, Cardinals. Brewers and Cardinals play a 3-game series tonight. I thought I was very gracious on Twitter.
What is your wild card? Your magic number?
Cubs' magic number to eliminate the Cardinals is 3, and to eliminate the Brewers is 5.
Okay.
Brewers and Cardinals play each other for 3 games.
So somebody's getting a number reduced.
I thought I was gracious. I said that I did not wish injury on either team. I did wish a plague of locusts.
You want Cardinals to win 2 out of 3?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay. You don't want to sweep.
No, I don't want either of them getting super hot. I would like for all 3 games to go about 30 innings.
Okay.
I would like for the air to go out in their hotels. I would like for fire alarms to go off at the Brewers Hotel. A plague of locusts, if possible. I would like a lot of mosquitoes. But I don't want anyone getting hurt.
We'll get a ULM time today here in a few hours
it's either going to be 11 a.m. or 3 p.m.
That's what it looks like, yeah. It's hard to argue anything else.
Yeah.
Unless CBS completely shocks us, I think we're in line for the 11th.
It's a fairly attractive slate of games, and so it really – look, and the Auburn game is going to be a night game. And people do this, and I get complaining about morning games. Here's the thing. When the SEC Network pays the kind of money the SEC Network pays, you're just sort of hostage.
Bama's playing one this week.
Bama's playing one this week, yeah.
Now, LSU seems to get preferential treatment and hardly ever plays morning games.
They do.
Yeah, for whatever reason.
For whatever reason. And some of it is the way their schedule works out.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway. Well, even when they play Louisiana Tech, that could have easily been an 11 o'clock game. Come on.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But, yeah, anyway, probably 11, maybe 3 for that, something like that. We'll find out.
The other games that week are Arkansas, Alabama, and Fayetteville. That's got a potential early start written all over it.
It does. Might be a 6:30 just because they won Alabama, though.
Yeah, Mississippi State and Auburn in Starkville.
That feels
an
2:30
evening game. Yeah. Florida, LSU in Gainesville could be a 2:30 game. Georgia, Vanderbilt in Athens could be.
That feels 5 o'clock ESPN.
Yeah. Kentucky, Texas A&M, and College Station. That's a night game.
That's a good slate.
Yeah. Ole Miss, ULM.
Oh, make this thing at 11 so I can get home. Please.
Missouri, South Carolina play one another.
Oh, this is really good.
Yeah. I mean, so Georgia.
It's 11.
Georgia, Vanderbilt. I already told that. Yeah. So when this one's 11 a.m., And I get the frustration, but this one,
Got to eat this one.
This one screams 11 a.m. on the slate standpoint.
Matt Luke, Wesley McGriff, Phil Longo coming to you here in a few hours. Coverage at rebelgrove.com. A lot of stuff up. Russell with some news on the message board this morning. And more. Talk to you tomorrow.